Hi, everybody. Welcome to Modern Movement Makers. We are Modern Movement Makers here, and I am so excited and honored to be sitting here with Katie Lampen. And she is just an incredible woman, and I'm so honored to get to interview her today. And I want to share a little bit about what modernmovementmaker.com is, what we want to be about. And I'm really grateful, Katie, just to sit here and have a little bit of time to hear your voice and see how you shine in the world. And I want to let you know, and we want to let you know as a community that this table is open. This table is open to anybody who might resonate with the mission of modernmovementmaker.com. You can visit that. We're on Instagram, on Facebook, and you can see the website at modernmovementmaker.com. But basically, I'm a hope dealer. That's what I like to tell people. I like to put movement to mission. And I want to help others shine in their mission for their life and their purpose. We want to share love and compassion that causes movement, healing, and growth in the world around us. So that is essentially what Modern Movement Makers is all about. There's a little bit more on the website that you can take a look at, but I'm just so honored, Katie, to have you here. And I've had the beautiful opportunity to collaborate a little bit with Katie to actually provide some service to beautiful children in our community through health and wellness. And it's just been a beautiful journey. And she is the director of program management at Community Action Network, otherwise known as CAN. She's been there for 5 years. She's also a beautiful mother of one little boy named Sam, who is 1.5.
Yeah, in December he'll be 1.5 years.
Oh my goodness! I just remember when you were pregnant.
Very big, huge.
Yeah, and now he's probably walking around and getting stuff.
Oh yes.
And I know she was raised in West Michigan, and also is married to her high school sweetheart, which that we have in common. So I would just like to welcome you, Katie, and thank you for those who are listening to hear what is on her heart today. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, your family. I shared a little bit about what you do, but go ahead.
Sure. First of all, I want to thank you so much for inviting me to join you in this conversation. I'm so excited to be here, and it's been such a pleasure getting to know you and collaborating with you, and I'm so excited to see what we can do in the future.
Yeah.
So I guess a little bit about me. I went to undergrad at, it was Calvin College at the time. It's now Calvin University in Grand Rapids. And my focus was elementary education. I wanted to empower children and youth to be the best they could be. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. But when I graduated, I needed to take a step back because I was already burnt out and I hadn't even started my career. So I took a pause. We moved to Ann Arbor so my husband could get his PhD in physics. And I started working a little bit at the Ann Arbor Arts Center and the Ann Arbor District Library. And I volunteered at 826 Michigan and eventually became an intern there. And from there, I learned about this organization, Community Action Network. And so I thought, I want to figure this out. Is this a direction that I want to go? So I became an AmeriCorps Vista, and I was a Vista at CAN for 1 year. And for those of you who don't know what a Vista is, it's basically like Peace Corps, but here at home locally. So you get paid a stipend from the federal government, and you're basically a full-time volunteer for an organization. And so that experience for me was what kind of opened the door into this possibility of working in the nonprofit world, and specifically still focusing on educating children and youth. But this time, instead of working on what I could do within those four walls in a school, we could provide stability for our children and youth by putting food in their bellies, making sure that they had safe spaces at home, in school, in our community centers, and helping them through school and advocating for them so their needs are met. And really just ensuring that they have what they need to thrive. So many children and youth are trying to navigate school with so much chaos happening in their personal lives. I remember I student taught the fourth grade, and I would have kids who would show up to school who had no bedtime. They stayed up until 1 in the morning and then came into school, and you are not ready to learn when you've been up until 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so it just felt like the perfect fit to be able to take this passion that I have for working with children and youth and empowering families and focusing it in right where my heart and passion was. So I was really, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that is so awesome. I think it's just amazing how our hearts for children, you and I'm hearing a lot of my heart in your voice. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. And I love kids. I love to be silly. I love to have fun, and working with kids for me is an opportunity to be my most embarrassing self and to laugh at the looks that they give me when I am. And I want to carry that with me in anything I do.
Yeah, especially because you said you're a lover of silly songs and lame dance moves. So that was really, really good.
I love being a nerd and letting my kids laugh at me and learn as they do. And just full, open, whole people. So I was fortunate enough to, there was an opening that came right at the end of my year at CAN. So I was lucky to be able to be hired on full time at the end of my Vista year. And I wore a few different hats. I worked with volunteers for a while. I did a few other things. And now I've landed in program management, which is a lot of operations and just kind of making sure the gears are turning in the organization and people have what they need. And ultimately, I view myself right now as a cheerleader for my coworkers, and I'm setting them up for success just like I was my kids when I was working with them. So it's the same thing. It all transfers over, just in a new setting.
And that's amazing, because that's what Modern Movement Makers are all about. We want to inspire action, and you're inspiring people in your organization to do what they do best, like children. So I just love that. I just love that so much. So you may have answered some of these questions already. I feel like you have touched on a little bit, but share whatever's on your heart. For what purposeful movements have you made, present or past, that you can share with us, maybe within your organization or in your personal life, that kind of thing?
Yeah. It's hard to name one specific movement because there are so many amazing movements that are out there right now. And I hope that the work that I do at CAN intersects with a lot of them. My passion is in community building and relationship building. I want to work towards shalom. As a Christian, my goal is to unify injustice through peacemaking. And that means actively involving yourself in communities to heal and to restore. And so my goal at CAN is to partner with our families who are striving to break the cycle of poverty. And that looks like a lot of different things. But mostly it looks like empowerment. So in any way we can empower, we try.
That is so beautiful. Healing has been a huge part of my life as well, especially in more recent days. And so I would love to continue that conversation with you for sure down the road. Katie, I want to find out, how do you find that you make your voice shine in the midst of this dark world? Because it sounds like, I mean, just in and of itself, who you are and what your passions are and in your heart is just so beautiful and such a light. But how do you choose to make that happen, to make your voice shine?
I think first and foremost, I always want to speak through my actions and my efforts. I serve with my hands and my feet. And so by partnering with our community and creating safe and welcoming spaces for our families, I hope that we can open more opportunities for them to thrive. Pre-pandemic, it was a lot of relationship building, volunteering, participating in my church and my community group. And now it's looking like a lot of positive affirmations in text chains and Zoom calls. And it's a little bit harder to interact with people who you're not actively making Zoom appointments with. It has led me to posting online, for better or for worse, more often. But I hope that my focus is always centered on empathy with Christ at the center of all that I do.
That is amazing. That is, and I hear that. I hear your voice shine in that way, and I appreciate you using your voice in that way to lift the voice of others and those that are oppressed, right? Because that's the work of Jesus.
Yes.
Do you have any fears along this path that kind of feel like you're maybe being held back? What are they, and maybe how you deal with them, or maybe how you have overcome them?
I love this question. I love it because we're all dealing with something. And for me, it's two things that come to mind, which are just insecurity, knowing my own worth in these spaces and what I have to bring. And then also balance and knowing when to commit, when not to commit, trying not to overcommit, and still investing in my family and my home and in my friendships and family members, but also extending beyond into the community and making sure that I'm living outside of my own circle and my own bubble. So overcoming both of those, I think I will continue to swing like a pendulum for a little bit, and then pray that as I grow older, I can continue to be more attuned to myself and my needs, making sure that I'm not swinging too far in any direction.
Because if we don't love ourselves, then we can't really love our neighbor as well as we want to, right? So I love that you have both of those in mind. I think that's what makes you so hopeful to others, because you hold those two. And I just appreciate that about you, and just appreciate the work that you're doing, and and just being you. So what or who inspires you, Katie?
I was thinking about this, and it's hard because there are so many different people. Right. The first people that came to mind for me, honestly, were my coworkers. Their commitment to relationship building and inspiring others inspires me. And specifically, my supervisors, our deputy director and executive director, have cultivated this workspace that's focused on being authentic and coming into our own as leaders. And this is, I'm 29, so this was my whole 20s, was learning how to be a leader and what that looks like, and also figuring out how to have a career and how to have a family and how to do all of these things. You're learning how to navigate these different circles. And I'm such a perfectionist and perfection seeker and people pleaser. I was standing in my own way for a long time, just not doing what I knew I could do, because I was afraid of disappointing somebody. And I'm really grateful for their guidance, because I kind of needed permission for someone to say, you can be you and you can be a leader, and you can hold both of those things together. I'm 4'11", I'm tiny. And I tell myself, like, how can tiny women be leaders? I'm stuck in my own head about what a leader looks like and sounds like and feels like.
Mhm.
And learning how to overcome that with the support of my team behind me has been just truly inspirational. And I'm so fortunate to have had the work experiences that I have had in my life and to find my dream job so early.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Katie, that you have found that. And I truly am a firm believer in teamwork makes the dream work. And it is so important to have a great team. So I'm so glad you have that. And how do you experience support and love as you live out your story in the world, Katie?
Yeah. Well, my love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service. So I feel seen and loved when someone tells me if they notice if I'm doing good work, when they make an effort to get to know me and spend time with me and really just dig into a deep, meaningful relationship. And I feel taken care of when my needs are considered and, met. And of course, there's always grace in there. I don't expect anyone to be a mind reader. And I also am currently actively seeking mentors and role models, other women of faith who have wrestled in different components of their faith in their lives. Women striving to be leaders, parents, spouses, daughters, friends, people of faith. How many hats do we have? Peacemakers. And I've had so many women, unfortunately, in my life who have been kind of anti-mentors, like what not to do, how not to lift other women up. And I'm ready for women who, not perfect, never perfect. We're not looking for perfection, but women who can role model for me and demonstrate for me and guide me into this new space with the 30s on the horizon, what that looks like and doing it well.
Well, I am hitting 40 and can really say that I have come through a lot and have faced a lot. So I'm so honored you're here. I'm so honored that we can learn from each other and we can continue to build on that knowledge and experience and what God puts on our hearts as we move along this journey and live out our stories. That's so inspiring. Thank you for sharing. Do you have anything else to say about that? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. And so what gives you hope in this season, in this time? What gives you hope right now?
It's hard because it can be so easy to get lost sometimes. And that's okay too. And I'm learning to feel all my feelings and be okay with that. Jesus wept, and we can sit in that weeping and feel that weeping. But also, yes, and there is hope for the future. And so what gives me hope right now is community, my community group, my friends, my family, and God's word. Just people in my life who are constantly showing up and actively loving each other into life. I'm so grateful for the reminder that God will weave our choices into shalom. It doesn't free me from any consequences of my choices, but it does inspire me to partner with God in this endeavor.
That is extremely beautiful. And shalom is very important in this season for sure. Thank you for being an agent of shalom in the world. And it sounds like you have obviously a faith tradition, which is actually one of the questions I'm skipping ahead a little bit. But so do you meditate or pray? Do you practice I am statements? Do you journal? How do you that hope is that you just mentioned, like how do you weave that into your day-to-day?
Right now I pray daily. Mindfulness is something we are just starting to try and incorporate deep into the the foundations and interwovenness of everything that we do at CAN. And so I'm lucky that I work somewhere where we're actively striving to remind each other to pause, And so that's something that I'm admittedly very horrible at. My worth was entangled with my productivity for the longest time. And so I'm still teasing that out. And when your productivity is also linked with doing good for others and on God's behalf, it can get even a little bit trickier. And so just something I'm working on and failing at regularly is pausing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've found helpful a couple of different apps. There's an app called Insight Timer and Mindfulness app. Of course, the Bible app is one that I use on a regular basis as well. But those 3 apps have been really a gift to my life through another community that I'm a part of. It's a healing community. It's a wonderful community, and I found out about these apps from some of these amazing individuals there. And so it might be something to help you out. I mean, even just 5 minutes of time could really be so, it could help you do so much more, even just taking that time just to sit still with ourselves. It's so important.
Yes. Before bed, I will say that before bed, I've been listening to Pray As You Go, which I know has been an app that's been going around Grace a little bit. I was introduced to it by Alex Patnaud. And that has been just the best way to fall asleep at night is listening to this app, which I'm in love with.
Oh, awesome. You'll have to share that with me later.
Yeah. Pray As You
Go. Awesome. And then do you have a journal practice at all, or do you write I am statements at all, or do you use those?
I guess it's kind of a mix. I use a passion planner.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my gosh. So it incorporates scheduling and journaling into one. So that's where my journaling takes place. They have monthly reflection pages and weekly opportunities to fill in space, to think, to plan, to reflect. I also I journal about my son's growth, and in that experience, it also turns into a little bit of a reflection period. But it's something I do every few weeks, every month.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. So I think the next question, I know your faith tradition is strong. And it sounds like you have a good routine going, and like you said, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. I think if anybody says they have it all together, they're lying. So, the imperfection and knowing our strengths and our weaknesses is good. But I think you've answered that one. So what I love Modern Movement Makers, and what I love about what we're doing is I'm from originally Southern California native, as you know, and so our entire family lives in Southern California, and we are here on mission, and have just loved being in the Mitten, and it's been a wrapped full of different experiences. But I have I've grown up around the ocean my entire life. And part of the mission of Modern Movement Makers, as I was thinking about and praying about what I wanted to create in this space, is just making waves of inspired action. There's a place, it's been interesting to be in Michigan, where you see all these lakes, these very calm, serene, beautiful, steady lakes, and it's been beautiful. But in my soul, the waves are still there. Just the waves, the power of like what that's like to watch waves just move, and watching. I mean, I've grown up my whole life watching surfers. My brother surfs almost daily, I think. I used to surf in high school, but just the whole imagery around waves and how in the world, yes, there's a time to be calm and still, like we've discussed, but how my goal is I would like this community to just, how can we make waves of inspired action in the world, which you clearly are doing, And so what's one that's meaningful to you, a wave, a ripple that you have created, you think, in more recent days or in the past?
Hmm. It's hard to say because we never fully know when we have made an impact on other people. And so there are hopes and wishes and times that those people do come out and share with us. And there are so many times when we don't know. I think that just in living out my life and doing my work and being myself and a lover of God and a lover of peace, and a lover of justice, I hope that I can just kind of shine in that way and, let those ripples happen in those small interactions, in those big interactions, in all of the big and small things in our lives. And hopefully that ripple maybe someday turn into a wave.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And even just your job as a mother, is huge and such a ministry in and of itself.
Mhm.
So just know that and trust that process too, because it is a process. We have a 14, as you know, and an 11-year-old, so been there.
Yeah.
And another question that I'd like to ask, the last one, and thank you so much for spending I've loved hearing your heart, and I've loved sharing this space and this time with you. And I'm so glad for those of you who may be watching, when they watch the replay, please let us know that you have watched it, and we would like to connect with you. So whether that be for CAN or for this movement with Modern Movement Makers, just reach out. We're here. We want to help you share your voice as well. So the last question is just, I love what names mean. I love, love, love the stories behind them. I'd love to hear what your name means if you did some research on that, and maybe what your son's name means. That would be amazing.
Oh, yes.
Or maybe if you want to Google it.
Yeah. No, I did Google it when I named him, but it's been a minute. Okay, so first, just as an aside, as a little joke before I turn it into all seriousness, a few years ago, I looked up my name. So Catherine Nicole Lampen is my married name. So Catherine means pure, Nicole means victory of the people, Lampen can mean lamp. So my joke, I was like, oh, thanks to punctuation, my name is pure victory of the people, lamps.
That's awesome.
But in all seriousness, Catherine means pure and lamps can mean light. So incredibly enough, my name can mean pure light.
That's incredible.
I didn't choose my name, but it just as you were saying, we can find meaning in it, and maybe there's a bigger something that happened that turned that into my name. And so I'm really grateful to carry that name, because it's exactly what I'm trying to do every day, is be that pure light for God.
That is so awesome. I love that. That is such a beautiful meaning, and just, I think, frames you and your life so well. I've got my name tattooed on my leg, so
yeah, I really wish I could ask you all of these same questions. But can I ask you what your name means?
Yeah, my name means beloved, and I was actually facing, or in my mid 30s, or actually no, it was late 20s, early 30s. I was really struggling with just my purpose, my life, and what I was wanting to do in the world. And I started just researching about what my name meant. And of course, my parents chose my name, but it means beloved. And I started thinking about the song that we used to sing in church when I was a little girl. I'm my beloved and he is mine. His banner over me is love. Mm-hmm. And it just really hit home. And I wanted to have it tattooed on my body to remind myself
Yeah.
that, you know, I'm my beloved and he is mine. And he's, you know,
Hmm.
it brought me comfort, and
Yeah.
it brings me comfort to learn what others, I mean, just so many people have so many beautiful things to bring to this world. And I love hearing how your name is just so embodying of everything you're doing. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
How can, Katie, how can people find you?
Yes.
Or CAN organization if they want to connect?
Yeah, I can do both. Community Action Network, our website is Canwashtenaw, which is our county, canwashtenaw.org. On Facebook, it's Community Action Network of Ann Arbor. On Instagram, we're at Can Ann Arbor, and we have another account at Can Art Design. And then you can also find me on Instagram at Katie_Lampen.
That's so great. I am so grateful for just spending this time with you and hearing all the beautiful things that God is doing in your life, and that how you're shining and bringing hope and inspired action to this world. So it was an honor. Thank you so much, Katie, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.